everyone. Welcome to New Moon in Scorpio. So Mercury retrograde ended the previous week. We're in the shadow for a little bit longer. Coming out of that, New Moon Sunday in Scorpio. So yeah, I kind of feel like there's like, it's not so much release at the moment as what fills you up. There may be some releasing you need to do, but mostly it's like focus on what fills you up. It's been a stressful week. I'm filming this on election, the week before the new moon, so it's like election week, and for some reason I thought I would have brain power after the election, and yeah, not so much. So sorry the rest of the world for probably also taking over all your thoughts, because I'm really over the electoral college at this point in my life. Okay, so I have the Unfinished Tarot. A couple people I know. It's a fun deck. And we also have the Haywood Tarot today. So pick two oddball decks to see how they work together. So let's pull a card. Ooh. So we got Death. Changes. What needs to change? What is changing? And I feel like sometimes when we do changes, we're like, let's get rid of it. We're going to just do it and get rid of it and release it and let it go and bye-bye. And then all of a sudden we're like, what do you replace it with though? When you have that old pattern you're trying to get rid of, you got to fill it with something else. So I feel like Death is reminding us, even though we're releasing, we're letting go a lot of the time, we need to remember to fill that back up. We need to make sure those changes, in order to get them fully stick, need replacements. We need other things that work for us. So instead of, if you're working on a negative self-talk habit, just be like, oh, bad person, you just negatively self-talk. Because believe me, as someone with this habit, it's really easy to be like, negatively chastise yourself about your negative self-talk habit, which, it doesn't work. But if you're like, oh, I'm doing my negative self-talk again, and you, instead of being like getting mad at yourself, or being like, you can just love yourself a little bit more. It's like, instead of like whatever is being negative, flip that into the positive. And so that was the example of releasing and filling up at the same time. It's like, oh, I was so horrible at this. And then I'd stop for a moment and be like, am I really horrible at this? And it's like, no, I'm tired and frustrated. I need to get up and move around. And when I took those moments to, instead of just being like, oh my God, I'm so awful, I suck at this, and took time to be like, hey, wait, this is what's really happening. I don't suck. I'm not bad at it. I just need to do something else for a while. That's an example of the filling up. Have you been sitting too long at your desk? I do this too frequently. Get up and move around. Take a little walk around your house. Perambulate a little. That kind of stuff. It can be that simple. What are those simple changes you can make right now that are going to drastically improve your life? So, let's get the Haywood deck. This is the other deck that I bought this year. There is, if I remember correctly, I put up an unboxing. I'll have to put a card up for you. So let's pick out two cards. This one's a little hard to get into the bag. I just love this back. So I'm going to go for that card. Interesting. Okay. So we've got Death, reminding us just make little changes. As we release things, we can fill ourselves up with other things, with the small changes of like, oh, I've been sitting for 3 hours, instead of like getting like, I'm going to sit for 2 more and finish it. You get up and walk around. Small, simple changes. So we have the Ten of Cups. And this is the fill up part, I do believe. This has, like, what do we need to, this is a really cool deck that's also very unique. It's like we got all these cups in the air, and I feel like this is like all the stuff that we're like, yeah, that's all the stuff we're going to fill up. That's all the stuff we're going to utilize within our lives to make it better instead of ignoring it, which is really easy to do. So stop ignoring it. Focus on the fill up. Focus on the love of it right now. How can you draw in more love, self-love, conscious love, boundary love if needed? Where do boundaries need to be less hard? Where do boundaries need to be more hard? Depending on the situation, boundaries sometimes need to be softened. You know, parents with kids, you don't get to say, like, yeah, kid, you're violating my boundaries. Right now, you may get to discuss them, why they're not supposed to do something, but, you know, you can't just, like, bye-bye. So what fills you up? Focus on those things. Really just be like, is this serving me? Is this helping me? Is this filling me up? Just this practice of whatever you're doing, help or hinder. Because the next card, it's all about not doing that. And we got the Ten of Wands. I kind of like this Ten of Wands with the person with their heads kind of just smoked right off. So, if you're not filling yourself up, where are you depleting yourself? It can be really easy to do right now, to become intoxicated in a way, in not a good way, with what's going on currently, to ignore what you need. And this kind of cycle is going to continue probably for a wee while. Don't just think it's going to be over with. There's a lot that needs to be worked on. And if you're already feeling like you have way too much on your shoulders, that's not going to be very helpful for you. You're already going to feel overburdened, overworked, stressed out, even more than you are normally before. So we can put our energy into putting more on our plate and stressing ourselves out more. Or we can, look back at that Ten of Cups energy and what do we need to do to fill ourselves up, to make ourselves better, to make those small little changes that death is asking us to make. And sometimes those things can be really difficult to utilize. You're used to the status quo. There's a lot of intensity. There's a lot going on in the world, freaking everywhere, and not just dealing with the pandemic. Just tons and tons and tons and loads and loads and loads and loads of stuff going down. So let's pick out an affirmation card here. Come here, affirmation card. Be joyous. I feel like that fits in pretty well with this whole reading. The concept of, choosing joy. There's there's me in the business and my cat who, will snuggle but doesn't do actual real work other than keep me company. And so I do things that I'm like, not my favorite things to do sometimes. But I find like if I can bring some joy in, like have a certain amount of happiness about doing these kind of jobs that are kind of boring and drudgery, then it feels a lot better than if I'm like, oh, this is just blah, 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 which all goes back into death reminding us small changes of release and fill up at the same time, of working on those things that were like, whether it's something like negative self-talk, which is the example I used, or something else. Small steps. As you release, you're also filling up, because the Ten of Cups is reminding us we need to find the good stuff in life and really enjoy it to the fullest right now in the ways we can that are safe. Because the Ten of Wands has us feeling overburdened, stressed out, freaked out. Too much is going on in the big world. There's too much going on in the small world, in the middle. until your head, explodes off your body. And our affirmation card is be joyous, reminding us to bring in the joy to all we do, because that's going to make it feel just a little bit better, especially those things we don't enjoy doing, of having a good attitude about it, because some things all you can change is your mindset, and other things you have to change the system. There's a big difference between like mindset work of like in the small stuff, and I guess you could choose to like joyfully work on anti-racism and in your life and how you react to people, or actually working with changing the systematic racism within our society, misogyny and all blah 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 blah. So mindset is one thing, but you also have to work on like the real stuff too in the real world. You can have a good mindset about it, but that doesn't mean that systems aren't slanted towards certain people. So yeah. Okay, before I get on the soapbox too long, let's just close her on out and have a wonderful new moon in Scorpio, and go out there and be the love of the world. Everyone have a wonderful day, and wear your mask. Bye-bye.